Okay. So, dear Esther, we have been discussing about desktop application development using PyQt5 uh, library from Python. So, whenever,
Are we recording yet?
yeah,
Can we record this?
whenever we are developing some desktop applications or even different type of applications, for example, web application, Android application. So in those type of applications, sometime database is playing important role. Today we will discuss some important concepts for database, and we will try our best to understand the concept of database. So let me tell you, database is a structured collection of data organized for efficient storage, retrieval, and management. Fine. Uh,
Hmm.
and there are different type of databases running in different type of softwares. For example, there might be some sort of employee management system, or there is some sort of repository. If there is some superstore where transactions are recording, so database is running at the back end. And let me tell you, there are the most important types of databases are two. The one is relational database, and the other one, second most important type of database, is no SQL database. No SQL, we can write database just simply DB. Fine. But we are interested in relational databases. Now let me tell you in very simple words what is relational database. In relational databases, we store data in the form of tables. Fine. We can say data is stored in the form of tables. Technically speaking, these type of databases are purely structured database. Fine. What is meant by structured, and how could you understand about structured database? For example, if you are querying over Google for some content or some for some uh, material, you are querying over Google, and there are sometimes there are millions of records. Fine. So it is normally such sort of behavior is not associated with relational databases. Whenever we are querying in the relational database, normally if we are querying in a good way, then we might get a single record. But it is not the case with Google, because the resources associated with Google are not structured, but they are semi-structured. Fine. Now, for simple definition, I can say these databases stored data in tables with predefined schema. Now, this schema is very important, using rows and columns. For example, let me tell you what is schema. Just like we were discussing about some application. Just like I have run the application, it's a very simple contact book. So there were only uh, four columns: ID, name, job, and email. So schema is information about these columns. For example, you can imagine this, we are not entering this ID. Whenever we are adding new record, we are entering only three values: name, job, email. So what type of values I can enter in any of the for any of the column, it will be described by schema. So the details about what type of values could be stored in name column, in job column, in email column, this information is known as schema. And simply, in simple words, schema is just like uh, data about data. So I can show you some schema. Okay, for example, you can observe this table. It's a student table. You can say the name of the relation is student. Fine, and there are different columns: name, social security number, home phone, address, office phone, age, and GPA. So in this table, for name, for SSN, the format is defined. For example, you can see SSN number will comprise of three digits, then hyphen, then two digits, then hyphen, then four digits. Fine. So for address, you can observe some numeric and string type of data. Alphanumeric data could come here. In age column, you can observe numerical data can be there. In GPA, you can observe floating point data could be there in GPA column. So schema told us that what type of data we can store in different columns. Fine. So it's a relational database, and for managing relational database, for creating, we need a very important language, which is structured query language. Structured query language. So there are different types of structured query language. For example, one type is DML, then other is DDL. But you can I can say there are some other types also available: TCL, transaction control language; DML for data manipulation language; and for DDL it is data definition language. TCL is transaction control language. But believe me, these two are very important for our purpose. Fine. So what DML is doing, whenever we want to just from this application, you can understand, if I am adding, if I am deleting. So for adding and deleting, I have to use DML. So by using this language, we can retrieve data, and you can observe we are retrieving. This application is retrieving data automatically. You can see it is a data. Fine. Then if I am adding some other record, and I can write any of the email just for understanding. So these two are records at ID 4 and 5. So I can add, I can delete, I can retrieve, I can update also. Fine. So DML language is used to retrieve, store, or you can say insert, and update and delete. Then this DDL language can create and define databases. Not only databases, but also tables and databases. But TCL is used for some other purpose, which is right now is out of our scope. So now we can discuss uh, the relation between relational database and SQL. So let me tell you, whenever we are developing some sort of application by using any of the technology, for example, right now we were discussing and understanding Python, then we discuss about pyqt5 library, and we were developing some sort of GUI based applications. So whenever we need some sort of database to integrate with our application, for example pyqt5, then we must need this structured query language. Fine. And whenever we are developing whenever we are able to develop simple application, for example, it is this simple application is known as CRUD application. And uh, CRUD in CRUD application, these four operations are performed frequently. Fine. But uh, what commands, all of these commands can be used in CRUD application if we are able to perform these things by using any of the technology with databases. Then we can say we can develop some complex applications also. If we can create database, if we can retrieve some records, and you can see, you can observe the full form of CRUD. C for create, R for retrieve, U for update, D for delete, but there might be some other operations can be added, but these four are very important. If we are able to understand, if we are able to create database, if we can retrieve some records from the database, if we can insert data record into database, then we can say that we can develop some complex applications also. So due to this reason due to this reason to understand structured query language, to understand relational database is very important. Fine. So let me define some uh, other important concepts associated with databases and structured query language. So let me further before starting the session, you were asking about some examples of databases. So there are different type of databases. I already told you that MS Access is uh, available in every package of MS Office. So it is a very common and famous type of databases, but believe me, there are a lot of others. For example, MySQL, and very famous Oracle database, then SQL Server, it's also from MS SQL Server. And some lightweight databases are SQLite, Firebase, and this list is continuing. There are a lot of other databases, and all of these databases, why I am pointing out these databases, all of these databases use structured query language for for creating database, for retrieving, for updating, for deleting, for storing. So that to understand this SQL is very important, because if we are using MS Access, MySQL, Oracle, or any of the database which is even not enlisted in this list, but that database is relational database, then we must need to understand about SQL, because SQL is important and primary query language for relational databases, where the data is stored in the form of relations, in the form of tables. So let me also add here, the simple meaning of relation is the simple meaning of relation is a table, and you can observe data is shown here in the form of table. Fine. And if you are observing this application, then here you can see data is also stored in the form of table. This table comprise of four columns: ID, name, job, email, and we can add as much records as per our requirement. I just want to tell you that SQL is very important for all of the relational databases, even it is my MS Access or MySQL or any type of database. But keep in mind that database is relational, and right now we are interested in relational databases only. Okay, so whenever we want to develop some sort of application, the process starts from creating a database. For creating database, the first thing we need, that is schema. And I have told you that what the schema is, but let me write some formal definition. The structure of database is defined by its schema. Fine. So how database will be looked like, how many tables would be there, and how many columns would be there in each table, and what type what type would be for the each column in our database. Everything is described in schema. So this schema is, you can say, heart of the database. If schema is lost, then database is lost. Fine. So what we can do by using this database, this schema, which outlines the tables, then columns, then data types and relations. So it is very important concept discussed here. This schema can describe about the tables, about the columns in each table, about the data types for each column, and relationships between different tables available in our database. Let me show you some example. So we can discuss some example of database from I am looking for some example from Google. So let me find some simple, for example, generic module database. So I think it is a little simple. You can see there are different tables. It is a schema. There is a course table, course sections, course modules, and let me find some other example for this database schema. For example, it's also another database schema, and you can see what information is explained in this schema. You can see name of the tables: transaction table, payment table, user table. If we are discussing single table in detail, you can observe the user table. So there are different columns: ID, username, email, and password. And at the right side there are types written for each of the column. In the ID field, ID column, information or data will be stored in the form of integer. Username would be the form of string, where we can write some alphanumeric data. In email we can write alphanumeric data. In password we can use alphanumeric data. But email might have some specific format. To ensure that format, we can enforce that format by using some GUI based restrictions. So from here you can understand what schema is offering us. It defines uh, how many tables are there, just like you can see tables, columns, data types, and relations. And what is meant by relation? You can see user has relation with payment, user also has relation with wallet and with merchant. Further, payment has a relation with transaction. So because it's a complete subject, but right now we are interested in few important concepts.